Alright, here we go. Back on the action, ladies and gentlemen. FindYourFX.com and Bulletproof Traders providing this exclusive video analysis in real time. Let me go right ahead, dive in. We're talking about an interesting situation, a very interesting trading opportunity that comes from three different assets. All belong to the same correlation group. We're talking about the pound Japanese yen, the euro Japanese yen, and the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. The way I'm going to present those three is very interesting from a correlation standpoint. We know there's high correlation, very positive correlation between all these three, right? They're the same correlation group, also called as the carry trade group. But what's mostly interesting to me is the alignment from a technical standpoint. It's like they all share a common breaking point, and they're right on the verge of a breaking out right now as we speak, all three. Now, every one of them support each other. In that sense, will give us a better probability picture, a better risk to reward picture, if you will, once we decide to take action, once the time is ripe and the situation had been triggered. So let me go ahead, show you what I'm talking about. We'll start with the pound versus Japanese yen, right? So I guess the title of this video is Japanese yen, is it about to break out? We're talking about a massive breakout, potentially speaking. When the Japanese yen is getting stronger, all of these currency pairs are going south, right? They're going down because the Japanese yen is a secondary currency. And I think that's the case. We've seen for quite some time now, about a week or two, that, yeah, the Japanese yen is getting a little bit stronger. But this is the focal point. Especially here, you can see pound Japanese yen is literally sitting on top of 194.29. That's the trigger point. That's the breakout point. And we've seen price action making contact with that level in the last 5 days a few times, right? So the first time was 5 days ago, slight touchdown, jumped back up and then came back with more force. Was trying to penetrate, but then again bounced off. Today it's trying to drill through, and again it's getting that rejection, which is why we haven't pulled the trigger yet. But it's fascinating to me how all three of them behave very similarly from a technical standpoint. So we got the Japanese yen sitting on top of 194.29. The minute it starts to cross over, break through, and establish that breakdown, verify that breakdown, at least with a daily closing bar, preferably with a weekly closing bar, we'll know this is serious. It's really breaking down. The breakdown's legit. We're going to jump in head first and chase the next big key level support, which is 190.3. So we got a full 400 pip of potential move once we get that breakdown underway. Right, keep in mind pound Japanese yen, trigger level 194.29. Moving on to the euro Japanese yen, very similar situation. Price is parking, literally parking on 161.58. And I'm going to give you the big picture overview, right? This is the weekly chart. Price has been trading back and forth ever since early August. There was a big drop. It came from the levels of 175, went down all the way to 153 or 154. But from that point, early August, it started to trade sideways in a very wide fashion, right? That 1, 2, all the way up 3, making contact with the last line of resistance, 166.04, and turning around. Interesting. Now the turnaround it's literally hitting that make or break point right now, which is again 161.58. It's a powerful support key level, and we can see that it's putting up a fight against price action. It's holding, at least so far. I can't guarantee that it's going to hold. Obviously, if price action is going to start turning around right off that point, then we'll know the breakdown probably not coming and pricing is pushing forward, right? But I don't think that's the case. I think it's parking here because it's gearing up for that breakdown. I do believe that breakdown is right around the corner. Obviously, we have to make sure that's the case before we dive into position, and that's pretty much what we're gonna do. And again, we want to have a weekly close bar, a weekly closing bar below 161.58. That will give us a high level of confirmation, probability-wise, right? Because it's all about extracting the most chance, the most probability out of a situation. Take a look how price action, literally very similar to the pound Japanese yen on the daily chart, where it was pulling back off of that 194.29. That's pound Japanese. This is euro Japanese doing the same thing, right? With this respectfully to the same key level. It has its own key level, of course, here 161.58. But if you take a look how it's pulling back up, it doesn't mean that it's failing. It doesn't mean that it's going to fail. It just means that it's testing it, it's filling it out. But I think eventually it's going to be successful on the crossover, and that's where we get into the picture and pulling the trigger, firing off the first trade. Obviously, there's a long way to go to the next big key level support, 156.59. That's 500 pip of potential return, or it's a 500 pip, right? So yeah, quite a lot to chew on. There's a lot of meat on that bone. Let's just secure that breakdown before establishing that short position. Pound Japanese yen, euro Japanese yen, those are two very close correlation wise, right? Very close. Another one I would like to introduce, it's the Canadian Japanese yen, where here you can see that the key level, the main point of reference, the trigger level, is 110.31. Check out the weekly chart. It's quite interesting to see how that level, I mean, you see two levels, right? There's a bigger one, which is 110.79. I'm not going to talk about that for now. I just want to keep my eyes on the short-term cycle, the short-term perspective. So that's 110.31, more of a local resistance key level. But check out the last few weeks. This is really interesting. Price action has been hammering and pounding that level, right? Consistently. Like, this is the 5th time in a row, back to back. And this is weekly chart. So every week, right, it was trying to penetrate, failing. The next week did the same. Spiked that area, 110.31, tried to penetrate, failed. And then again, unsuccessfully, the 3rd time, the 4th time, which was last week. And this week, again, it does it again. It's unbelievable. It's coming back, trying to penetrate, trying to break through every single time. These two levels block and basically shut down that positive momentum every single time. To me, that spells a downside reversal, right? There's only there's only so much cases, so much times where price action can try and break through a tough resistance level. At some point, it will cave in and turn around. I feel like this is basically overdue, right? Overdue for a downside reversal, at least first from a short-term perspective. Later, we can talk about longer-term potential, which is really, it's pretty deep. We're talking about 103.40, right? But we're talking about 600 pip of potential move if we're going to have that full-fledged downside reversal. I'm not even talking about that yet. From a short-term perspective, again, a pullback below 110.31 would mean that on the daily, we'll see a break below 110.31. Could be done by the end of the day today, right? So if we see price action starts to drill through, close the daily bar below 110.31, I suspect it's going to be fully corroborated with the euro Japanese yen that's going to break its own 161.58, and we'll get a third breakdown from the pound versus Japanese yen here, 194.29. They will all play in harmony. That's how I feel this is going to go down. And if it does, then yeah, we got a good, healthy trading opportunity that we can dive into with a high probability of success, especially when all three are going to do the same trick here, are going to pull the same trick off their sleeve, breaking down their respective support key levels. Yeah, all eyes are on those three. I'm definitely going to keep a close eye on those, come back, follow up, keep you posted about once we take action, once it becomes relevant. But this is really imminent stuff. I expect either a successful breakdown or a failure and an upside reversal That's gonna be happening in the next 24 to 48 hours. That's the critical time window we're looking into. Yeah, good stuff. Hope you enjoyed this video. We're gonna see you in the next one. Take care.